All right, thank you all for tuning in to WJC LP 98.3 FM Chicago. And you're listening live to my show, Money Talks, where all we talk is money. And today we do have a very, very special guest speaker. I'll be introducing him here pretty shortly. We'll be talking about the profit first method, how to make sure your business finances are properly handled. And so with that, we're live on WJC 98.3 FM. Basically, I'm your host, Jeff Badu, and pretty much I'm a parallel entrepreneur and a wealth multiplier. I'm the founder and CEO of Baidu Investments Llc, which is a multinational conglomerate in the finance industry. And what we do is we provide a suite of financial services, including our marquee company, which is Baidu Tax Services, and that's the firm that does tax preparation, planning, and representation for individuals and businesses across all 50 states in the U.S., and we also have clients in over 25 countries at the moment. All right, so then we have Baidu Investments Llc, which is my real estate investment company. And what we do there is we invest in apartment buildings, mainly on the south side of Chicago, in efforts to restore traditionally underserved communities. And then we also have the Baidu Foundation, which provides financial literacy education to the youth ages 6 to 18, where we teach them on topics such as budgeting, saving, investing, and scholarships. My purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. All right, so today we'll be talking about the profit first method, which basically allows you to divvy up your finances. I'll be introducing our guests here in a second, and so this would be a great time for you to take some notes. Get a notepad. We'll do a 5-minute market recap. So just a quick 5-minute market recap. And then at 7:15 p.m. Central, definitely want you to pick up your notepads and take some notes, right? I'll be introducing the speaker in about 5 minutes or so. And, he'll also be able to chime in, right? He'll give an introduction of who he is, all that he does, all that he can do to help you. And then we'll get into a discussion about the profit first method. And so please hang tight. We are live today on the radio 98.3 FM Chicago. And basically you can catch us on WGHC Radio, right? WGHC radio.org. We're WGHC LP 98.3 FM Chicago. And we're also streaming live on Facebook. So if you're listening on the radio, if you can hear me and you're not on the Facebook, feel free to go to my Facebook page. And you can feel free to listen to this discussion. You can like it if you don't mind liking it, sharing it, and then just typing in the chat as usual where you're listening from, and maybe one thing that you're looking to get out of today, just so we can make this a more engaging discussion. This will be more of a Q&A format today with the guest. So with that, let's get right into the market report. If there's audio issues or whatever it is, just feel free to let me know. I know sometimes technology doesn't always go our way, but we always try our best. Sorry for the late start. Was doing some troubleshooting on here today. And so with that, let's get into the market report. This report is as of September 17, 2021, as of last Friday. Stocks have generally retreated in September on concerns that the Delta variant is slowing the economy's rebound and that the markets, which had been surging, may be primed for a decline. The benchmark index has generally lost ground for the second consecutive week, with only the Russell 2000 able to close the week in the black. 10-year Treasury yields climbed 3 basis points last week. The dollar climbs higher, and crude oil prices increased $2.34 per barrel. Among the market sectors, only the consumer discretionary, basically, and energy, which went up 0.5 and 3.3% respectively. The remaining sectors essentially lost value. All right, so let's real quick, let's do a fast track recap. All right, we'll do that for 3 minutes, and then at 7:15 p.m. Central, we'll go right into the presentation or into the Q&A. We'll go until about 7:45 p.m. Central. We'll wrap it up at that time, and then we'll leave it to you for the rest of the night. All right, so Wall Street opened last week mostly higher, with each of the benchmark indexes essentially advancing, right, except for the NASDAQ. By the way, the NASDAQ is composed of the big tech companies, technology stocks. NASDAQ went down 0.1% last Monday. Large caps of the Dow went up 0.8%. S&P 500, which is composed of the top 500 companies in the U.S., went up 0.2%. And then the Russell 2000 went up 0.6%. Global Dow went up 0.7%. All right, let's talk about last Tuesday. Last Tuesday was another rough day on Wall Street. Each of the benchmark indexes essentially fell because of the spread of a COVID-19 outbreak in a Chinese province raised trade concerns and worries that economic growth would be hindered. And to fast forward to today, the stock market took a massive hit, probably the biggest decline all year, right? The biggest decline all year, at least I saw it. So it was a big thing, and it was a lot of talks about China, trade talk, things of that nature. So basically, there's always a reason why the stock market goes down. It doesn't go down just for anything, right? There's always a reason to such activity. All right, then last Wednesday, energy shares advanced notably. And let's see here. The Dow, S&P 500, and NASDAQ ultimately went up 0.7% for the day. All right, we got one more minute to go here. Wall Street followed a positive Wednesday by retreating on Thursday. Among the indexes, only the NASDAQ inched higher as the remaining benchmarks ended the day in the red, ultimately. So they ended in the red. All right, so let's talk about Friday. Only the Russell 2000 was able to eke out a 0.2% gain. Everything else pretty much went down. So far this year, the Dow Jones is up 13%. The NASDAQ is up 16.73%. Still a massive gain so far this year. The S&P 500 is up 18.02%. Massive gain. Shout out to you if you're in that index right now. Russell 2000 went up 13.27%. And then the Global Dow went up 14.62%. Interest rates are still at a dead 0%. 0% benchmark interest rates. What to look forward to this week? August data for the housing sector is available this week. The pace of sales for both new and existing homes has slowed from its torrid pace earlier in the year. The big news this week focuses on the meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee, FOMC for short. It is possible that the committee will present a firmer timeline for scaling back its current bond purchasing program. All right, so the stock market went down last week, but let's not let that be something that basically deters us from investing. Right? Let's not allow that to be something that holds us back. It didn't go down that much last week, by the way. Now today already we're seeing a massive drop in the stock market all across the board. S&P 500, NASDAQ, everything is down today. So hey, this would be a great time to buy. As Warren Buffett said, it's buy low and sell high, not the other way around, right? It's buy low and sell high. So one thing I would encourage you to do is get in the game however way you can. Don't just sit on the sidelines, right, and cry when things are going down. Let this be an opportunity. The greatest, most successful people take advantage of opportunities. They don't just sit back and, basically sit on the sidelines. They actually take advantage. They take action, right? So we've seen things like this happen before. Don't let what happened in the stock market today deter you from advancing in your future. So that's my advice for today. All right, so we're at 7:17 p.m. Sorry for the delay on the market report. Just wanted to get that out there. You always want to feel the passion when it comes to investing. All right, so for those who don't know, you're tuned in to WJC LP 98.3 FM Chicago, and you can listen live on the radio 98.3 FM in Chicago. We're also on the radio, WGHCradio.org. And without further ado, actually, get a notepad ready, please. You're about to listen to some very important information. And basically, right, please like and share this video. We're not on Instagram today due to the technicalities of of us having a phone conversation today. But we are live on Facebook, and we're also live on the radio, 98.3 FM, and also WJCradio.org. And so let me go ahead and turn the mic up on our guest speaker. Before I basically allow him to give his introduction, hopefully you guys can hear us okay. I got a book in the mail. I don't know if Gigi's watching this right now, but I got a book in the mail called Franchise Freedom. And I was like, holy cow, this is a nice book. Short, sweet, straight to the point. I love short books. If you guys haven't read any of my 3 books, I encourage you to do so, first of all. And for those that have, if you have read it, you'll notice that my books are pretty short in size as well. So basically, we'll call him Gigi, right? Gigi for short. And this is the franchise. He goes by the Franchise Guide. And on the back of the book, I'm just going to read his, just a quick bio. So Giuseppe Grammatico is a franchise veteran. He goes by Gigi, who helps executives find financial and time freedom through franchise ownership. Giuseppe is a successful corporate refugee who has worked on every side of franchising, from owning franchises to working with franchisors to helping others use franchising to escape the corporate grind. He hosts the Franchise Freedom podcast and lives in New Jersey with his beautiful wife and 2 children. By the way, I was on his podcast a few weeks ago. It was a great time. Check that out all over social media, also on YouTube. But the Franchise Freedom book, I do want to give a shout out to that. And so without further ado, I do want to welcome Gigi to joining us. How's it going, Gigi?
Jeff, doing very well. Thanks for the little promo there in the book. I appreciate it, and I hope you enjoy the book.
Absolutely. Now, Gigi, my apologies for this. I haven't read the book yet, right? But I do definitely plan to read it. It is very, very short, right? So absolutely no excuses for not reading the book. I definitely do plan to read it very, very soon. And I'm sure I'll gain a lot of value from it. And I'll let you know what I learned from the book as well.
Sounds great. We kept it short and sweet. Yeah, they say on Amazon, people usually don't pass the first chapter, so right. We kept it short and sweet and right to the point. So I hope everyone finds it useful.
Absolutely, Gigi. And just so you know, too, we are live on Facebook as well. So I don't know if you want to hop on Facebook and hit the like, the share, just so your audience could get this as well. This will be recorded, so you will have a chance to share with your listeners. This will be posted on YouTube. Of course, we are live on the radio right now, but I understand it's very important information. So what I always encourage my listeners to do is to rewatch the video. Just rewatch it, take some notes, and be able to gain some value from what it is we're talking about today. Absolutely. All right, so Gigi, if you don't mind, basically just tell us a bit more about yourself, your background, anything it is that you want us to know about you.
Yeah, so you kind of covered in the bio, but I am a corporate refugee. Was not happy with my circumstance, working for a relatively large employer in the investment bank side, and needed a change. So got into family-owned a business. Was not the business I wanted to continue with, and that was in the restaurant business. So got introduced to franchising, businesses with systems already in place for you, and loved the idea that I did not have to kind of create everything. So got into that, and now I help people. I help corporate execs experience, I always say right on the website, time and financial freedom through franchise ownership. I help people essentially explore business ownership, set the expectations of what exactly it is, and help them, with researching and looking at different franchises based specifically off their goals, their wants, and what they're looking for in a business.
Wow, that's powerful. So franchising, I mean, so was it something like, did you leave your corporate job? I mean, what's the background behind, like, specifically wanting to help business owners with or aspiring business owners with franchising?
Yeah, I mean, that's a very good question. So, I was struggling. So I always felt, having a corporate job, that finding a new job was the answer, right? I was going to find a new job, interview with a new company, and that just wasn't the case. I just felt like I was a number. I just felt like, just another job. Maybe it was a little bit more money, but I still had a really long commute. And when people talk about their why and why they do things, we had a baby on the way back in 2007, our firstborn, Luca. So I said, a change needs to be made because I'm literally commuting 5 hours round trip, 2.5 hours door to door each way. And that was my why. If I did not make a change, essentially, I would not be able to see my son. And now we have 2 children now. So not that you have to own a business for that. Obviously, I could have gotten the job much closer to where I live, but I just did not feel fulfilled. And I love the flexibility, the income, the flexibility, the financial leverage, the tax benefits. The list goes on. You can speak much better on that topic than I can, but that a business offered. I didn't know where to start. Where do you look for businesses? I was on Biz Buy Sell, and I was on various resale sites. When finally I put some information about myself to a franchise coaching / consulting company similar to the company I'm with right now, and they were able to guide me through the whole process and show me the whole universe that franchising is not all about restaurants. There's employment service franchises and water and smoke mitigation franchises, and there were so many other business models out there that were built for you. But which was the match? Which of the 4,000 companies was a match? And with all the information online and websites, people would just get overwhelmed, like myself, and they didn't know what to do with the information. So I got a lot of help from this coach, and I kind of vowed to say, you know what, I want to do this as well. I want to continue with this, run my other businesses, but I want to help people make one of the largest financial decisions that they'll ever make next to owning a home, and really help them out. And in many cases, we tell people business ownership may not be a good fit, or you really like to start things from scratch. Maybe a franchise is not the right fit for you. And in some cases it is, but we put together a financial plan because the numbers aren't there, right? They don't have the savings, or they don't have access to the loan needed in order to fund that business. So it's just a real passion in helping people. A success to me is just working with anyone, because if I can't help directly, I know someone that can help out. And I just really love what I do, and I truly believe that I just simplify things and just make it so much simpler when someone is looking to own a franchise.
Wow, that's powerful. That's powerful, Gigi. Absolutely. So I want to get straight to the point here, and that I've heard that basically there are some people that are afraid that basically going into a franchise is pretty expensive. So first of all, do you know you of course would know, but what's the going rate for starting a franchise, or just like being a part of one, being a franchisee? And also, how can people find the capital to be able to be a part of a franchise?
Yeah, that's some great questions. So I'll tackle the funding. So the funding, we actually work with a few of the larger funding companies, and they will do a full free analysis to take a look at everything you have, from cash to savings to your investment portfolio to equity in your home, retirement accounts, and the list goes on. So they want a full picture of exactly your assets, your liquidity, as well as your debt, right? All your liabilities. And with all that information, they are able to put together a plan or give you an idea of what are some potential funding sources. So right now, a very popular way to fund a franchise or any business is a ROBS plan. It's a rollover business startup, where essentially you are bringing over 401k assets into your C Corp and funding it that way. So you're funding the business with your own money, as opposed to taking a loan. And but in other ways, with the real estate market being the way it's been, many people are using the equity in their homes. So it may look like a home equity line of credit or just a traditional line of credit. So there are SBA loans, traditional loans, the list goes on. So our partners will give you a full kind of understanding of your options. And the great part of our partners are they will give you every option they can think of, regardless if they offer those options in-house. So, for example, a home equity line of credit may not be offered by our partner, so they would recommend contacting your bank or your mortgage company to go about setting up the paperwork and getting that set up. So it's a free service for the consultation. We could definitely make that introduction. We actually make that intro for everyone that we work with right after our first call. And they will do a free analysis, and there is only a fee essentially if you decide to move forward with one of the options. So that's a little bit on exactly what funding looks like. As far as franchise fees go, are they expensive? And I typically say it's a great comment. Some people may feel it's that way because maybe the possibility is just not understanding what's involved in that franchise fee. And essentially, when you pay that franchise fee, it's essentially a license. Mm-hmm. It's essentially a key to the franchise system where you pay that fee and you have complete access to all the trial and error, everything the franchisor has had to figure out, from what works best marketing wise, social media posts. It may be marketing. It may be posts to hire your employees, training manuals, bookkeeping manuals, the list goes on. So that franchise fee comes from everything that the franchisor had to figure out. So they can range from, I've seen numbers as $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 just on the one-time franchise fee. And then the other cost would be if there's a build-out, if it's a brick and mortar location, or maybe marketing, and maybe your first several employees. They like to give you a range of what your first year total investment is going to be. So on the flip side, you have a startup, which again, one is not better than the other, depends on what you're looking for. But a startup, in many cases, maybe you don't have a big franchise fee of $25,000 or $50,000, but you're figuring things out. So it's trial and error. Maybe spending money here, spending money there, and in many cases, it's the time value of money. So I've seen people that said a franchise may be expensive, but they sat on a business plan on their laptop for 5 years. So, when you kind of have to figure that out. But what was the cost of that business plan sitting there when that capital you could have set up much quicker? Like with a franchise, I mean, a franchise you're trained immediately. You pay the franchise fee, you're already getting enrolled in training. So that's kind of my. We can definitely go on about that, but I just wanted to touch on those two areas. Yeah,
definitely appreciate that, Gigi. I mean, I'm sure we can have a whole thorough discussion about the whole franchising aspect. And the reason why I wanted to bring that up is because I wanted my listeners to get to know you, get to know how you can help them. And it sounds like you add a lot of great value, especially as it relates to helping someone be a part of a franchise, essentially.
Yes. Yep. We help A to Z. Yep.
Absolutely. All right. So moving into the topic for today is the profit first method, which I know is more for current business owners, but I'm sure maybe someone who decides to, own a franchise, be a part of the franchise, they can probably benefit from this as well. So if you don't mind, just briefly, what is the profit first method?
Profit first. It's a really simple method. So there's a book, Profit First. It was developed by Mike. I believe it's Michalowicz. Mm-hmm. You can find it on Amazon. And it's a shift in a way of thinking as far as your profitability in the business. And I wish I had learned this years ago. I was introduced this by a friend of mine, and I'll mention him again. But definitely not my idea, but just a great system. So the traditional way that a kind of business runs when you look at the financials is very simple. It's sales or revenue, whatever you want to call it, minus expenses equals profit. So once again, sales or revenue minus expense equals profit, which is pretty straightforward. That's how everyone in that, or let me give you kind of the new way of looking at it, and then I'll tell you what the issues are. So the new way of looking at it is basically to say sales minus profit equals expense. So sales minus profit equals expense. So why is there that shift there? And it's simply put, if you have money left over in your business, you tend to find ways to essentially spend that money, right? It's Parkinson's law. Business use up all the resources they have when it comes to time and money. So you kind of have to put constraints. So, when someone would ask me, what's your marketing budget? I really didn't have a number. Was it $10,000 a month? Was it 5% of my revenue? I had no clue. And I would just simply base it, okay, I'm paying myself X amount. I typically had so much left over, so that was my budget. And, you need to hone in that number and be disciplined about that number, because essentially you can always find ways to spend more and more on marketing, on operations, on making your office look nicer. The list goes on. So when you switch from, again, sales minus expense equals profit to sales minus profit equal expenses, you are, number one, being very specific and paying yourself first, and minimizing what you're using on expense, and saying, okay, if my expenses are going to be $2,000 a month, I need to work within those means. So it's going to be $2,000. If I need to redo my website, I may have to wait if there's a surplus at the end of the year, because my site can always look better, but I'm going to wait until the end of the year and see if there's a surplus on what I budgeted for marketing. So the system is very simple. It's very straightforward. You don't need an accountant to set it up for you. You can do it on your own, and it actually helps your accountant because you have essentially 5 buckets that you create for yourself. So the 5 buckets are going to be 5 separate accounts. They may be checking or savings accounts. They can be with the same bank, but they need to be 5 separate buckets in order to discipline yourself not to steal from one bucket and bring it over to the next. So bucket for profits, there's a bucket for salary, marketing, and then I have kind of like a miscellaneous bucket. So I know that every month, based off my revenue, I'm going to put in, for example, 20% is going to go to taxes. Profits, I put a small amount. It's typically 10%, and that amount is extra. It's almost treated as a bonus. Salary, I'll have a percentage. Marketing is typically about 25%. So I'm keeping very, very specific to those numbers. If I see that I'm going over, either I need to revisit these percentages or go back and say, okay, you know what? Am I getting an ROI on this marketing, or do I have to scale back and maybe not use the agency I'm with right now? Maybe I want to outsource and use a company like Fiverr or Upwork, where they can go out and I guess bid on the work. I guess with Upwork and with Fiverr, you pay a flat amount. But it's just a simple, straightforward way to kind of have everything in one place, be disciplined, be able to pay yourself. I know my first year in business, I always found different marketing and different things. Maybe it was equipment or vans for the business I was in to spend on expense. So it's just a very disciplined way to kind of force yourself to pay yourself, put the money aside, and stay on target with a budget. And I wouldn't revisit this every single day, but this is maybe something you revisit quarterly to make sure that, working with your accountant, are you putting enough away for taxes? Are you putting too much away? And maybe that 20% needs to be scaled to 18. So again, it's essentially a cash flow management system. Very, very simple. And again, when that money hits your main account for your business, you want to have everything on a daily basis automatically transfer out from that one account. Once the check or the payment's clear, it goes automatically to tax, profit, salary, marketing, miscellaneous, and any other buckets you create. I have 5. Other people I know have 6. But you can kind of develop the system or revise the system in the way you see fit.
Wow, that's powerful. So basically, it helps you manage cash flow better, and it puts you into that, that abundance mindset of, hey, think about your profits first instead of just winging it, basically. And it even goes above and beyond just setting like a budget, which has like a bunch of random numbers in there pretty much.
Correct. Yeah, it's a disciplined approach. You're not just kind of, marking 20% in my QuickBooks online system is going to go here. You actually have it go, and you can actually see the balances, and you can pull the profits and pay yourself anytime you want. But yes, it's just a simple approach, because I see way too many businesses, franchise and non-franchise, that don't necessarily pay themselves the first couple months or first 3, 4, up to 6 months, and they're constantly buying things, and it's like there's always going to be a new marketing strategy or vehicles or equipment depending on the business you're in. So there's always room for growth, but at the same time, you kind of have to force yourself to pay yourself and be disciplined about it, pay yourself, and then obviously you want to keep that number in line. So the more you do in revenue, obviously the more that you're making. So the book goes in a lot more detail as far as setting the entire system up. I have a very, very good friend. His name is Rocky Lalvani. He is a coach with Profit First. So he is an individual that if you need some guidance, some assistance on setting this up, and someone that can do a full review and keep you accountable, he specializes as a coach with Profit First. So at the very end, I'll give my website. So if anyone needs all his contact information, I could definitely send it out to you. But he does essentially accountability and coaching on the system itself. But by reading the book, definitely you'll learn quite a bit. If it's something you want to implement, you could do it day one. And if you are looking for a coach or someone like Rocky, typically you want to wait at least the first year while the business is kind of rocking and rolling. You're generating quite a bit of revenue. Start setting up those buckets. You would essentially while you're starting to become profitable and generate some revenue.
Wow, that's powerful. That is powerful, Gigi. Definitely appreciate for sharing that. Now, the last question I have before we get into your contact info is, can you talk about, abundance versus scarcity, and how can we solve abundance for all of humanity?
That's a good question. A lot of us, and I'm gonna admit this. I'm human. I think a lot of us have a scarcity mindset. And what I mean by that is, it's almost like there's never enough. So, for example, I'm part of a group called Franchoice, and we're 70 franchise coaches and consultants. We work together. We meet twice a year. It's almost like essentially having a mastermind twice a year. And we share ideas, what's working, what's not working, from lead generation to working and helping the candidates, the families that we work with on a daily basis. And someone with a scarcity mindset may not share ideas because, someone may copy the idea that I'm having, or someone may, also set up a podcast or write a book like myself. I can't tell you how many people have written a book and have their own podcast. The numbers is just, it's an incredible amount of people that have done this. So I think once we look at it and say there is plenty of business to go around, there is, it feels good to share what's working and what's not working. And I think once people get into that abundance mindset of being able to help out, doing good, not expecting anything in return, and just truly just being good partners and working with one another, I think you completely change things. Things become much simpler. You don't have this negative outlook like someone's going to copy your book or your website. They can copy my book all day long. At the end of the day, knowledge is its power. It's applied knowledge, and that's where I assist. All the information out there, I'd say it's 98 to 99% free, but it's how we actually apply that knowledge. What do we do with that knowledge that we're learning online? So I hope that answered your question. I know I kind of touched on a few things, but I believe in doing good. Whatever you put out there to the whatever you want to call it, if you want to call it, put it out there to the universe. I don't expect everything in return. If I'm able to help someone, it feels good. If someone is able to refer me someone, great. If not, that's fine as well. I feel like if you do good and put good energy out there, it'll come back to you tenfold.
Absolutely. Wow, that's powerful. I mean, those are some very powerful things. And that, abundance is not thinking that, hey, yeah, somebody's going to take my idea. They're going to steal the things that I have. Instead, it's like, okay, well, how can we work together so that we can even possibly make this idea even better, right? How can we form synergies so that we can work together to make whatever it is that we're working on even better, instead of thinking, oh, yeah, so-and-so is going to steal my idea. Well, if that's the case, then it's like you might not even put out that idea at all, right? Like, what's the point?
Right.
If you're not going to take it to the masses, take it to the next level. The only way we can achieve greatness is if we have an abundant mindset where we basically don't, there's certain things we might hold back just a little bit, but overall, it's not like we're holding back information just because we're afraid somebody's going to take it from us. Instead, we know the information we have is valuable, and we put it out to the marketplace in the most advantageous, the smartest way possible, hoping, or actually knowing, not just hoping, but knowing that it's going to be greater good for everybody else, and the idea is going to evolve over time. So I definitely appreciate that, that comment, and that it's always a challenge. I talk to a lot of people every day. And, for me, my purpose in life is to inspire and support the super hungry, right, to take hold of infinite resources in order to create an abundant lifestyle. Every single day, I get people that come to me with scarcity thoughts, and I'm always challenging them. God is always, in a way, he's always challenging me, and is like, man, you've got to get these people out of scarcity mode into abundance mode. Because we can't just hold back. When we just hold back, then what are we really giving back to the world? We can't go to the grave and just say, right. Oh, yeah, I'm taking this information, I'm taking it to the grave, right? So we can't necessarily just do that. We have to give back something to the world so that maybe somebody can take hold of that resource, that knowledge, and maybe make something greater out of it. Just like how we have electric cars, just like we have self-driving cars. We have all these different things that have evolved over time because the people that came before us at least gave us a place to start so that we can make the world ultimately a better place. So for me, I definitely take that to heart, and that's why I do what it is that I do, is because I want to help empower people, especially when it comes to their finances, to challenge them to think beyond what they can even achieve or what they think they can achieve, because I was in that position too, where I didn't know that I was going to be able to start a business that was a global company. I had never in a million years would think that I would do that. But the thing is, had my mind told me I couldn't, then I probably would be right. I couldn't. But instead, my mind told me I can, and so I did. Right? So if you think you can, then you're probably right, and you're going to do it. You're not going to let anything hold you back as long as you stay focused and as long as you keep your eyes on the prize, ultimately, Gigi.
That's it, and I'm really impressed with what you've accomplished in a short amount of time, and that's why I invited you on my show, and I could not agree more. Just have the goal in mind, and just ignore the noise. There's a lot of stuff, social media comments. Hey, you know what? Everyone's entitled. Just ignore it. Focus on what you do, what you think is right. And as I mentioned, I think, there's a lot more. I'd say there's 100 times more accountants and CPAs than there are people that do what I do. A lot of people talk about similar things, yet we're putting the information out there. And it's how you go about coaching and empowering people that makes all the difference, right? We're saying a lot of the same things. Obviously, there's going to be differences in strategy. So I love what you stand for, kind of what you said when you had you on the show, and firm believer. I'm a firm believer, and it's all about mindset. And some people, unfortunately, with that scarcity mindset, which is the mindset I had, I needed that person to remind me of it. And I had a few people remind me of it, or take the time to really explain it to me. And it's like, wow, I'm looking at things completely the wrong way. And that's when I opened up and said, all right, I'm opening up the vault. Take what you want. If you want to copy it, let's work together. And it's been a game changer. So highly recommend people to have that shift and talk to someone. Maybe you just need that person to give you the nudge.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, if you think about it in life, when you give more, you tend to receive more. And if you give nothing, how in the world are you going to receive anything? So I would say I would challenge our listeners today in that give something back today, right? Today or tomorrow, preferably today. Give something back today, and I guarantee you it's going to come back to you 10 times. The moment you say, I'm not going to give anything back, you're not going to receive anything. And that's the reciprocal effect of life. That's something I've learned big time. And so with that, Gigi, definitely appreciate you for joining us today. I think we had a great conversation. I'm sure our listeners today learned a lot. But if you don't mind, just sharing maybe your contact information, how people can get to you, and maybe some final words of encouragement for our listeners today.
Yeah, so you can just go right to my website. So it's my initials, GG, the Franchise Guide, GUIDE. So GG, the Franchise Guide.com. And a couple things. You'll have my podcast there if you just want to listen in. Jeff, our show is up. We put that up last week. Free book download. So if you'd like a copy of Franchise Freedom, feel free to download that. And you can book a call or send me a message as well. We do a 20-minute free call. By the way, our services are completely free. I forgot to mention that. We are paid from the franchise company. So no contract, no fee for what we do. If you have any questions, interest about franchise ownership, or if you just simply want, I don't have it in front of me, I apologize, but Rocky's information on Profit First, or had any questions on that, feel free to send me a message. I'd be more than glad to help anybody out. And as far as kind of last words of wisdom or advice, and going back to what I was saying before, a lot of people get stuck researching due diligence, gets stuck on a business plan. Bet on yourself. You talked about investments. You did a whole kind of snapshot about the markets, the S&P, the NASDAQ. That was my world for many, many years. And I'm a big believer of the S&P. I invest, in the spiders. But I would recommend take a chance on yourself. So maybe it's a bucket. Maybe instead of investing 10% of your income in the market, maybe it's half, or maybe it's 8%. Whatever. It doesn't matter what the percentage is, but I would, the biggest, and Warren Buffett talks about this. Invest in yourself. Your returns will grow exponentially. Take a chance. You live once. Do the research and just believe in yourself, and then just run with it. I did that with my first business. I was made fun of by some colleagues, saying, "What are you, nuts? You're leaving a really nice, high-paying job to start a business." Luckily, if I listened to what they had said, I'd still be there. So just take a chance on yourself. Invest in yourself. Yes, it's not like investing in the S&P and you get your 8% return a year. Maybe it's no nominal return your first year, but that coaching, maybe it was you work with a coach who motivated you and held you accountable to research a business, which led into owning your own franchise, which is in my case, look at the growth and the lifestyle I have. I wouldn't change anything. So definitely bet on yourself, invest in yourself, and just go for it. Just I talk to people, 50s, 60s, and regret never starting a business. Go for it. I'll help you where I can, enlighten you, and and also you got to have a great account so you can hire Jeff while you're at it. So that's my advice.
Absolutely. Appreciate that.
You got to keep the money you create, right? So.
Right. Exactly. And that's why, for me, I'm all about making sure that you are, you're basically legally keeping the money away from the IRS, and then also multiplying it, and that's where the term wealth multiplier comes from. And so with that, Gigi, definitely appreciate it, guys. Check out his website, Gigi the Franchise Guide, GigiTheFranchiseGuide.com, and you can get, a copy of the book. You can get a lot of information, and I would say, yeah, Gigi, I think you're a great resource. You're a fun guy to be around, and definitely appreciate you for being on the show today. And, with that, I do want to thank everybody for tuning in to WJC LP 98.3 FM Chicago, where all we talk is money. You can catch us live on WJCradio.org at any time, and you can also go on 98.3 FM. Shout out to Andre Harris. He said, hey, brother, absolutely. Definitely appreciate you, Andre. We go way, way, way back. And so with that, thank you all for listening. My name is Jeff Badu, and I look forward to continuously delivering you all some content. Thank you.